So they assassinated Soleimani, the Iranian terrorist general. Soleimani was assassinated by drone aircraft and missiles. Sort of like the way they tried to burn my home down in Texas, using the Britain Defender, the FLIR aircraft of the FBI, and a helicopter, dropping flares all over my house from the air. Let's repeat that. They murdered, assassinated this Soleimani, this Iranian terrorist general, by using a drone aircraft and a missile. Well, the FBI in Houston, back in the 1990s, used a helicopter in their Britain Defender FLIR plane to drop flares all over my home, east of Conroe, Texas. They're in the 4th precinct of Montgomery County, which I complained about immediately to the sheriff of Montgomery County in a packed courtroom in front of Judge Barb Sadler and the entire Montgomery County Commissioner's Court. The whole Commissioner's Court room was full of people when I told Sheriff Guy Williams, the next time they try it, I'm going to shoot the aircraft down. You see, this is how the FBI and the slime from the United States government incorporated try to eliminate people that blow the whistle. They use aircraft in the middle of the night to try to burn your home down. Now here's a real kicker for you, ladies and gentlemen. The Sheriff's Department of Montgomery County didn't even come out and interview the other family members, the other witnesses who witnessed and experienced the flares being dumped all over the house. You see, ladies and gentlemen, when I was exposing the massive financial racketeering and the financial frauds going on at the Houstonian estates between the Bushes and the Clintons and Richard Secord and Oliver North and Bill Casey and Bud McFarland and Roland Carnaby and Michael Atkinson and all the other players in the Iran-Contra Charlie Wilson's war. Let's ask James Baker III and Joanna King. And let's ask Donald Trump. Let's ask Donald Trump about the Trump princess and all those weapons that were being wheeled and dealed by his buddies over at the Triad Development Company. Isn't that interesting, Donald Trump, that you're tied to Clinton and Bush and Iran-Contra? Isn't that amazing, Donald Trump, that you were dealing with the Gabanafars, the Khashoggis, and the Bin Ladens? Try to deny it, Don Trump. Where'd you get the Trump princess from again? Yeah, the Trump princess. And then, of course, you had to target 52 Iranian targets in memory of the 52 hostages at the Iranian embassy when they overthrew the Shah and threw the Shah of Iran out. Because you were there, Donald Trump. You were right there with Bill Clinton, and you were right there with George Bush Sr. and W. and Shrub, and the whole little gang around Bud McFarland, and that gang from the Southwest Depot. Why don't you explain that to the American public, Donald Trump? The Southwest Depot, that secret weapons cache of Oliver North and Secord, just down the road there from Waco, Texas. You know, the weapons that the Buffalo Airlines were moving along with Evergreen Airlines, the CIA airlines of choice. And then, Donald Trump, you can tell everybody about the Gulf Manor Airport. You can tell them about Clark Clifford and Roger Altman and the American Continental Corporation and BCCI. You remember, Donald Trump, BCCI. And your dealings with North and Secord when you were 007, right? Weren't you 007? Donald Trump, you were a CIA asset. swapping spit with Khashoggi and Gabanafar. Right, Donald Trump? So, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, the way they murdered Soleimani with, ordnance from a drone aircraft, well, they bombed my home, too. They tried to burn my home in Texas to the ground because I was blowing the whistle on their stinking, dirty bankers in Texas during the 1980s. So, ladies and gentlemen, the next time you stop and think about where all these trillions in helicopter money, trillions in quantitative easing vanished to, where all these massive fortunes of money that were laundered and looted through the Russian banks, through the Dutch banks, through the Swiss banks, and through the German banks, the German bankster buddies of Donald Trump. Remember one thing. Down in Houston, Texas, during the late 1970s and the 1980s and the 1990s, all the way into the 2000s, they've been robbing this nation blind, robbing it blind with scheming and scamming and swindling and real estate hocus pocus. Right, Donald Trump? William Barr, you want to chime in here? William Barr and Christopher Wray over at FBI? Maybe Christopher Wray wants to explain why the Britain Defender and their helicopter, the FBI's helicopter, tried to burn my home down. And Sheriff Guy Williams and Judge Barb Sadler, you two pieces of shit can burn in hell. You two pieces of rotten shit can go to hell, Barb Sadler. You with, Nelda Luce Radabow Blair, the little debutante from CNN, Ted Turner's Ted Turner's bar card lawyer, Nelda Luce Radabow Blair of the law firm of Hope and Mays. They're in good old Conroe, Texas, the heart of the dirty bankster gangsters in Texas, Harris and Montgomery County, Texas. And if you have any questions, ask Oliver North and Richard Secord why they used to come down to the Galleria in uptown Houston and take up their secret collections from George Bush and Bill Clinton's friends and Hillary Clinton. Tell them, Hillary Clinton. Tell them all about those sessions in the hot tub at the Houstonian Estates, Hillary Clinton. So, ladies and gentlemen, the next time you think that the Anglo-Persian invasion of Iran and Iraq during the First and Second World Wars, the Anglo-American Oil Corporation invasions of Iraq and the invasions of Iran since the First World War, take a look at the working conditions that the British Petroleum, the British bankster gangsters imposed on the Iranian and the Iraqi oil field workers. Take a look at what the American and British oil interests did during the last 100 years in exploiting and extracting Iran and Iraq for vast wealth. And to this day, Pompeo don't want to leave. The Iraqi parliament said, America, get your troops out. And Pompeo and Donald Trump said, we ain't leaving. We stole it fair and square. Right, Donald Trump? They stole it fair and square. So, folks, I'm going to tell you something about real American history. Take a look into the massive frauds and the massive robberies of the banks and the savings and loans in Texas. And ask yourself if old Judson Witham is that far off the mark. Ask yourself if old Judson Witham blew the whistle on the real estate schemes and the real estate scams and the gaming and conning of Michael Atkinson, Roland Carnaby, Robert Corson, Bobby Mishner, the Bushes, the Clintons, the Bin Ladens, the Gabanafars, and the Khashoggis. and Donald Trump, the old triad development mob. Come on, Donald Trump, tell them about the triad and all the weapons trafficking that you were doing with George Bush and Oliver North. Donald John Trump. Yeah. There you go, Don Trump. You want to talk about it? Let's go on national television, Christopher Wray and William Barr, and we can talk about all that funny wheeling and dealing and gangster-bankster money in Houston, Texas, and all those weapons in the Southwest Depot. Bring Oliver North and Richard Secord with you. Folks, I'm going to leave it right there, and I guess the last thing I want to say is you know all those people at the Waco Davidian retreat, they were very aware of Buffalo Airlines. Ask the director of the FBI about the Buffalo Airlines and all the weapons trafficking deals with the mag bag over at the Davidian retreat. How David Koresh and the Davidians were wheeling and dealing with Oliver North and Richard Secord's weapons traffickers at Fort Hood. Right, Donald Trump? And Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. Let's talk about Terry Reid and Barry Seal. Terry Reid and Barry Seal and Oliver North and Richard Secord and Air America. Right, Donald Trump? So, folks, the next time you wonder about people being assassinated with aircraft, ask yourself, why would they try to burn Judson Witham's home down using the Britain Defender and a helicopter and a bunch of flares? Judge Lynn Hughes, you want to chime in here? Senior federal Judge Lynn Hughes down in Houston. How about Judge Kathleen Hamilton over in Conroe? Judge Kathleen Hamilton and Daniel C. Rice, the former county attorney Daniel Rice, and let's get J.R. Moore, the tax assessor, J.R. Moore, and I guess we can get Mark Thurnbull, the county deed recorder, Mark Thurnbull. And we can talk about, I don't know, Branham Industries and Montgomery County Bank. Branham Industries, Montgomery County Bank, and that mafia from the 26th floor of the Houstonian Estates. And let's talk about how they try to murder people and assassinate people and burn people out using aircraft. Christopher Wray, William Barr. Aren't you proud of the history of Donald Trump's service with Oliver North and Richard Secord, Michael Atkinson and Robert Corson and Roland Carnaby and that whole little gang swirling around Bud McFarland and Admiral Poindexter and Bill Casey? Come on. Christopher Wray, Donald Trump, William Barr. Let's talk about the weapons trafficking of Houston, Texas with James, what was his name? Baker. Oh, Jimmy Baker III and Joanna King. Charlie Wilson's War and Iran-Contra. Right there in old Houston, Texas. Isn't that amazing? So, folks, I'm running up here on 15 minutes, and all the links and information you could possibly desire down below. And I'd like to see one lousy son of a bitch disprove the contents of this video. I dare you. Bring it on. Bring it on. Let's rock and roll, right? Donald Trump, lock and load, Mike Pence. Let's talk about the weapons trafficking from the Houstonian Estates. Folks, I'm going to leave it right there, and as always, hasta la vista. God bless, and you betcha, I'm coming back.